many of you have been pulled over by law enforcement when driving? Maybe it was speeding, not having the seatbelt on. It's stressful because you don't know in real time maybe why you're getting pulled over. Let's bring in Sacramento Sheriff's Deputy Ed Igo for advice on how to act. Ed, thank you for being here. So when you pull me over, if I'm actually driving, what do you want from me besides no attitude? You want license, registration, just comply?
So realistically, the way I taught my daughters is if you start getting pull over safely, promptly. A turn signal lets the officer behind you know that you're pulling over. And at that point, stop, put the vehicle in park, roll the windows down, shut the ignition off, hands stay on the steering wheel until they come up and approach.
So let's say you're law enforcement, which you are, you're approaching the vehicle, let's just call it speeding. Do you already know if you're writing the ticket, or are you waiting to see what kind of attitude I have?
So law enforcement has a lot of tools. I think the most important tool that we have is discretion.
Okay.
And so I would be remiss to say that the interaction with the person in the vehicle isn't going to play a determining factor on whether or not a citation is going to be issued.
Okay, so let's say it's a DUI stop. You approach the driver. The driver probably has had, how many times have you heard the driver, you say, "Have you been drinking, sir?" And the person says, "I just had 2 beers." That seems to be the standard line, isn't it?
That's the most popular line. It's right up there with before you conduct a search and they say, "These aren't my pants."
Yeah.
So definitely the most popular.
Okay, we'll leave that question as it is. So in terms of, can officers tell people to exit the vehicle? What do you guys feel? What's your policy on that?
Yeah, so absolutely. So during a lawful traffic stop, law enforcement does have the right to remove everyone from the vehicle. So if you're stopped for a vehicle infraction, whatever it is, and an officer directs you to step out of the vehicle, you do have to do that, or else you are committing a misdemeanor by refusing that.
If you asked to search the vehicle, would you have a reasonable, what would you be looking for? Would it possibly be empty alcohol bottles under a seat, a gun? What would you mostly want to search a car for?
Realistically, there's going to be, the totality of the circumstances. Where are we at? Why am I doing the vehicle stop is really going to determine what it is I'm looking for. At the end of the day, there's a lot of legal reasons that we can lawfully conduct a search, and other times it would just be a consent search where we would ask their permission to search the vehicle, and they either can or they can't.
And you probably, as you're pulling the vehicle over, you've run the plates, and if the person is known to be an armed suspect on the loose, and you asked to look at the car inside, probably it's weapons at that point.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sergeant, appreciate you coming by. Hopefully we picked up a couple of good tips here.
Always a pleasure.
Right. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you for having me, sir.